You're here with Hannah Weir. I'm a multi-passionate creative, podcaster, speaker, and a certified meditation and mindfulness teacher. This podcast is designed to inspire a new way of being, living in the moment with more ease and alignment with our true selves. I'm on a wild journey of self-discovery and love, and I'm here to share that journey with you so that you too can fully embrace and express all that you are. Thank you so much for being here, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. I'm actually feeling really nervous to record this. I'm just going to take a moment. Okay. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. You're here with Hannah, and today is a really big episode. This is a really big moment for me, and a lot has been leading up to this moment. A lot has been happening. If you've been listening for a while, you know that I've been through a big process of peeling back, shedding layers, shedding who I thought I was, what I thought my life was going to look like, the direction I thought things were going in, and it's really just been a process of coming back to myself. And so I'm going to share some big updates with you today and share what's happening and what has been happening. But before we get started, let's pause and take a nice deep breath. Inhaling fully through the nostrils and exhaling through the mouth. Let it all go. All right, well, I'm actually recording this, filming this episode on the camera. It's going to be going up on YouTube. I've been alluding to the fact that that's going to be happening over the last couple of episodes, and here we are. Got the camera set up. This is very strange, but it is time to move into a new chapter with this podcast, with my life, with everything that's been happening. We're moving into a new chapter, and so you may have noticed that the podcast name has changed. It's now called Here with Hannah, and I've just had some big realizations in the last week that have kind of led to this change and led to me wanting to take this podcast and I suppose everything that I've been working on in a whole new direction. And what really happened, what led to this was, well, let me take a step back. And I am feeling nervous. I'm feeling like a bit of anxiety in my heart. And what's really happened is I've spent the last 3 and a bit years, building a brand called Kindful Co. And this brand came from an epiphany, a realization in a meditation, which I've shared before. It came through actually in a hypnotherapy session, where I was actually losing. I was going through a miscarriage at the time, and I went to see my hypnotherapist to get some guidance on feeling safe, because I didn't actually know it was happening, but I felt like something was off with the pregnancy, and I felt like I wanted some reassurance that everything was going to be okay. And as I lay down on the table and we got into the hypnotherapy session, I dropped in deeply, and at this stage I'd been meditating a lot. I'd been really practicing meditation just in my own life, and I had this vision that I wanted to create a brand, create a space where people could connect with themselves, where people could have this feeling of safety, this feeling of connection in their body, this feeling of being held by the universe, by life, by God, whatever you believe in, this feeling of just deeply knowing who you are. And it's not a cognitive knowing, it's just knowing in your heart, a connection, a real connection to yourself. And this is what I'd been experiencing in meditation, and this is what I felt like I want to share with other people. I want to share with people how to connect with themselves, how to slow down their lives, how to love themselves. And I had this vision in this session, in this deep hypnosis, this deep meditation, of creating a brand. And I saw products that I wanted to create, and I saw myself becoming a meditation teacher and instructing and guiding people through that process of connecting with themselves. And it came from just such a pure, genuine place. And that was what I ended up birthing in March of 2020. When I would have been due to have that baby, I ended up creating and bringing to life this brand, Kindful Co. And I've spent the last 3 years putting my heart and soul into it. And it has really come from this genuine desire to want to share that feeling with other people, to want to share that feeling of just slowing down and reconnecting with what's important to you, with your values, with who you are, with just the beauty of life, being able to be present with life and to appreciate all of its beauty and just everything around us, but also being able to navigate the challenges like grief that I went through with that pregnancy loss, with that miscarriage, like the isolation that I experienced from being completely misunderstood through that period of my life where I ultimately walked away from everything that I had been working so hard for. I'd been working so hard to buy a house, to build a life. I went down this path, and if you've been following me for a while now, you've listened to my story of miscarriage. You've listened to my story of divorce. You've listened to my story of self-discovery, coming back home to myself and really learning how to love myself and accept myself and accept all of the parts of me. And this is what this brand represented to me. It represented a blend, bringing together all of these ancient principles and practices that have really held me in my journey, and bringing them together with my understanding of the modern world through being a content creator, being someone who's out there on social media, seeing what people struggle with, seeing how hard it is to navigate life in this fast-paced world that we live in, and teaching ways that we can incorporate these practices, mindfulness, being present, navigating our emotions, working through self-acceptance, forgiveness, self-love, self-worth, working through taking accountability for ourselves and our lives, working through feeling grief and shame and pain and all of these layers and all of these things that we've picked up throughout our lives, and just peeling all of it back, coming back to ourselves. This is really what it's been about, and this is really what Kindful Co was founded on. I don't know what's happening in the corridor. Oh, it's probably the cleaner vacuuming. Anyway, I'm just going to pause for a moment. I really didn't think I was going to cry, and of course there's nothing wrong with crying. So, in the last week, I had been in the process of trademarking the name Kindful Co, because just that's what you do, right? If you own a business, you've got to do all the right things. You've got to have the website, you've got to have the domain, you've got to have the register the business name, you've got to trademark the name so no one else can use it, you've got to set up all the systems so you can charge people, you've got to set up the email marketing, you've got to set up, like, there's so many layers of business. And I have taught myself everything over the last 3 years. I've only really been operating as a business for about a year now. Before that, it was really just an information service and a podcast. So I had the podcast Kindful Conversations, which then turned into Kindful the Podcast. Only in the last 6 months or so did I rebrand. And so I really didn't expect myself to be here filming this, recording this conversation, and going through this process of now letting all of that go. And so what happened is last week I got an email from the governing body in Australia that looks after trademarks, and it turns out someone else has Kindful trademarked in the same sort of category that I was applying to trademark it in. And my initial reaction when I found out that there was this issue with the application, my initial reaction was, I just don't want to deal with this. I just don't want to have to deal with this shit. That was my initial reaction. And I sat with it. I was definitely triggered, but I noticed that the trigger wasn't as big as it has been in the past for these sorts of road bumps or walls that I've hit in my business. And it feels like there's been quite a lot. And I know that there is a degree of persistence required, dedication required, a degree of patience in doing something like starting a business. It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to flow. Not everything is always going to go as planned. Of course, it's just like life. There's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be challenges that we face and things that come up that we're not expecting and things that we don't want to have to deal with. I get that. I really do get that. But when I sat with that feeling of frustration, that feeling of like, I just keep hitting a wall. Things are just not flowing the way that I want them to. I realized that perhaps this is actually guiding me in a new direction. And I asked the universe, I said, why is this happening? What is it that you want me to do here? And then I started to ask myself, do I even need to operate under the name Kindful, under a brand name, in order to create this work that I want to create and share these teachings and share my journey and share my life and share what I'm creating? And this is also something that I've really struggled with, is trying to figure out how all of the different parts of me fit together and how I can turn that into a business to be something that creates a living for me, something that I can live off and that is sustainable in order to pursue the different dreams and desires that I have. And I realized that I'm trying to fit myself into a way of doing business that I've seen modeled for me by the way others are doing business. I'm trying to fit myself into this box of having a brand name or a registered business and going through all these hoops and doing all these things, when really what my soul just desires to do is to create, is to share, is to express itself, is to be itself. And I can't see any examples out there of anyone doing the kind of work that I'm doing in the way that I want to be doing it, because that doesn't exist right now. And I'm the one who's here to create that for myself, and perhaps that'll be something that inspires other people to do business or to do life or to create a life, a livelihood, create a living for themselves in a similar way, instead of trying to fit into a mold. And so the realization that I came to was, I don't want to be a business owner in the way that anyone else is doing it. And by trying to fit myself into this name or trying to operate under this name of Kindful Co, it's actually really limiting to me, because Kindful Co in itself has the connotations of being related to mindfulness, kindness, beautiful. That's a beautiful name, and it's a beautiful vision that I had for that brand. But it's limiting because it doesn't incorporate and encapsulate all the different parts of me that I also want to express and that also want to be shared. And so I have decided that the best way for me moving forward is to just operate as me, Hannah Weir, to right now, at this point in my life, not try and create a brand that I have to then create content for, and I have to have a business model for, and I have to do all these things. And you can hear it in my language. I have to. That's a really good telltale sign, is if we're thinking about what we have to be doing instead of what we really want to be doing, what feels really exciting, what feels really expansive, what feels really authentic and aligned. And so I don't know what my business is going to look like moving forward. And I don't even like to call it a business, because it's not, we have all these ideas of what that means, what a business looks like and what that even means. But for me now, I just want to operate as me. And that doesn't stop me from then being able to create courses or to run workshops or to write a book or to create content or to do any of the things that I really want to do that allow me to still be able to do this work of guiding people to live a slower, more mindful, more creative, more purposeful, more meaningful, more intentional life. I can still do all of that just as me. I don't have to put myself into a name or into a box or into a label of being a brand. I am the brand. And in fact, I now feel like I'm free to be able to operate and create whatever it is that I want to create, because it's not limited to one category or one niche, one industry. And how liberating is that? How liberating is that to just be like, I can just still do the work that I'm here to do and just let it unfold in all kinds of ways that it's going to unfold. So that is the update. And it's really funny that the name Here with Hannah came to me because I wanted to have something that obviously I want a name for the podcast. I thought about having like the Hannah Weir show, that didn't feel, or the Hannah Weir podcast, that didn't feel, it felt very like, I don't know, it didn't feel fitting. And Here with Hannah actually was a name that I came up with for a YouTube channel that I started in the pandemic in 2021 probably. About 2 years ago, I started this this YouTube channel, called Here with Hannah, because I wanted to start creating new content that was based around this idea of slow living, this idea of mindful living, intentional living, self-care, self-love, all of these things that are really important to me and these topics that I really love talking about and I feel really passionate about. And so I created this YouTube channel Here with Hannah, and then after a while I kept thinking like, well, how does this all fit in together? How does my Kindful fit together? How does this fit together? And again, I was just trying to like categorize and label and define what it is that, who I am and what it is that I do. And so I ended up changing the YouTube channel to be Kindful with Hannah Weir, so that it was almost like a way, a category or a way to share this, a container to share this content in. And it's just funny that I'm having this full circle moment where I've gone back to that original name that I came up with, because I think here, this idea of being here relates so much to who I am, wanting to be present, to live in the moment, to be here, to be with whatever it is that we're experiencing, whatever's coming up for us. And then also this idea of just being yourself. be here and be you are the words that keep coming to me. And it came to me the other day that my only intention now is to be present with life, with whatever I'm experiencing, and to be myself. These are my only intentions now, to be present and to be myself. And of course, I want to be kind and compassionate and caring and loving and generous and giving and inspiring and all of these things, and creative, all of these things that are important to me. But this is what being myself encapsulates, is being present and being here and being myself. And so I don't have any other intention other than to just share who I am, and to share my life and what I'm learning and what I'm going through, and to just be here and to be present with whatever's happening. And so I just think that the name really does speak to that. And perhaps things will change again over time. Perhaps my vision for what I'm creating, of course it's going to change as I'm changing, as I'm growing and evolving. But I really just wanted to share this epiphany, share this revelation with you as I transition into a new phase and a new chapter. I'm conscious that I think my camera battery is low, so I'm going to wrap this up now. And I don't think that there's anything else I really need to share right now. I do have some big updates. Alex and I have some really big life changes that are coming up. And so it feels very fitting that this is all kind of changing for me moving forward, the way that I want to show up and share and operate, and the way that I want to create and to work is all shifting and changing, and I'm really excited to share more of that journey with you. But for now, I'm going to leave it there. I just want to say thank you if you're listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time, your energy. Thank you for your support over the years. Some of you I know have been with me from the very beginning when I started out sharing nail art designs and polishes and tutorials and all that on YouTube and on Instagram, and even before that on a blog. And I know many of you have been along for the ride and have seen that progression and seen this journey. And I just feel like where I'm at right now is so fitting for, looking back, seeing how everything has all just been leading to this point in time, and to me really stepping into who I am and really owning and claiming who I am. So the one last thing that I wanted to say is that I realized that in order to really practice what I preach, to really embody this idea of accepting and loving ourselves exactly as we are, I need to let go of all of the areas in my life where I'm trying to fit myself into a box, and I'm trying to be something that I'm not, and I'm trying to look to what everyone else is doing to tell me how I need to be living and doing business and working. And so it's been a realization as well that the greatest gift I can give to the world is to just be myself, and to show people that it's okay to be all kinds of weird, and to have all kinds of interests and all kinds of things that you love, and it doesn't have to make sense, and it doesn't have to logically fit together in order for you to still just be yourself. The camera died. I thought that might happen. I was talking too much and I was getting too passionate. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. And I really look forward to seeing you in my next episode, talking to you, seeing you, you know what I mean. All right, take care. Lots of love. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it and got some value from it. If you did, feel free to share it with anyone who may need to hear it. I hope this brought you some calm amongst the chaos of life and reminded you just how worthy you are, exactly as you are in this moment. Thank you so much for being here and being you. There is no one else just like you, so I am so grateful to have you here, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.